I had a totally different episode recorded for today. It was going to go live. It was going to be about the couple's advent calendar and this amazing tradition that you and your partner can start doing, which you can still learn about on my social media or through my email newsletter. But today needs to be about something different. I woke up this morning and realized there's a different message for my listeners to hear. And it's all about the habits that I'm noticing more and more couples fall into that are making things worse in the relationship. Yes, it's the holiday time, and we're stressed, overwhelmed, and exhausted. But if we go into 2026 continuing these habits, I guarantee you there'll be more problems to come. So go grab yourself a warm drink. I'm going off script. Let's see where this goes today, and let's dive in. Welcome to Relationship Reset, Reignite, Reconnect, Rebuild, the podcast for high-achieving couples who want to transform their relationship from surviving to thriving. I'm Katie Russler, a relationship coach and counselor with over 15 years of experience helping busy, overwhelmed couples rebuild connection, trust, and intimacy. If you've been together for years and feel stuck on autopilot, disconnected and frustrated by constant miscommunication, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll explore practical tools, relatable stories, and strategies to help you reignite the spark, rebuild your bond, and create the relationship you've always dreamed of. Because no matter how long you've been together, it's never too late to hit reset. Let's dive in. Okay, so about 2 years ago, I was working with a business mentor, and she shared in our group about a goal that she had. And it was interesting because you would expect it to have been a goal for her business or even personal growth, but it was specifically for her relationship. And she said, look, I've been married once before. I'm in my second marriage. And I realized I'm so annoyed and bothered by him with different things that it's so much easier to point the finger at him. But in my business, when there are challenges, I look at all the factors, right? I even include what is it that I'm doing that needs to be improved. And so she said, I looked in the mirror and I said, am I being the version of myself that I want to be in my most ideal relationship? And the answer was no. So her goal was specifically geared towards being the type of person she wants to be in her ideal relationship. Now, what does that mean? Instead of pointing the finger at our partner for what they are doing or are not doing, how they lack in certain skills or abilities, you're a horrible listener, you don't really care, you always want to fix things, whatever it might be, right? These things that annoy us. If we focus on first looking at, are we being the person we want to be in our most ideal relationship? It makes us stop to go, what does that ideal relationship even look like? What does an ideal relationship, or what I like to call a level 10 relationship, look like? What is our communication like? How are we connecting on a daily and weekly basis? What do shared responsibilities look like between us? How about our trust and our respect? What about dreaming together and setting goals? We have to get really clear on what it is we want our ideal relationship with our partner to look like. Yes, I can understand if you're like, it'll never look like that because he or she will never change. Well, if you continue with that mindset, then you are going to stay stuck. But if you sit back and go, this is the vision I have for my relationship. This is what I want it to look like. Here's the practical, right? Here are the values I want my relationship to be living by. And then say, and who am I in that? How am I being? Am I being more present? Am I being a better listener? Am I being more engaged and more proactive? Do I feel more confident? Right? When we finally stop and say, who would I be in my most ideal relationship? And then start to create goals from there, change starts to happen. And I stand by this. I've seen it in my own relationship, and I have worked with individuals whose partners were not about going to therapy or even coaching to work on their relationship. They were completely against it. So I worked with the individual on how they could be the version of themselves they want to show up as in their relationship. And you know what? It's hard. Because when you don't have your partner meeting you halfway, at least not in the beginning, you feel like it's all on your shoulders. But here's the point that my mentor is making. If the relationship doesn't work, you walk away a stronger, better version of yourself, knowing that you really were showing up as the version of you would want in your ideal relationship. That means facing your inner demons. It means cleaning up those habits that you know are the ones that are holding you back. It means actually listening to the feedback your partner is giving you about what's bothering them in your interactions. I was talking with a client the other day and she was saying, oh, and then my husband shared this, and then I started telling him he could do this and he could do that. And I said, did he ask you for advice? And she was like, no. I said, okay, so you kind of started parenting him. No wonder he shut down and didn't want to talk anymore. And she didn't like that answer, and it felt very uncomfortable. But a day or two later, she said, I realized that's what I did. I immediately jumped in because I'm so tired of hearing this problem and I want it to be fixed. And I said, okay, well, that's about you. This is your partner's problem. He's not asking for your advice. How about you work on the things that you keep having issues with and challenges and figure out how to work through those so you can be a lighthouse, an example, a model of how to work on those things. And you know what she did? She completely went all in on focusing just on the things that she could control, breaking the habits with her partner that were really causing a lot of issues. And she noticed he softened. He was more vulnerable and able to open up. He started planning date nights. He initiated even going for walks, things that they hadn't done in years, because she was showing up as the version she wanted to be in her ideal relationship. She was finally actually listening to him and his feedback so she could be that version of herself too. And he was responding in the way that she'd been hoping for years. See, if we keep pointing the finger at our partner as the problem, and we don't take a step back and look at ourselves, we will continue to stay stuck. It is so easy for us to see how someone else needs to change. We're exhausted. We're burnt out. I don't want more responsibility. I don't want more on my shoulders. But I also want a strong and healthy relationship, and I know I'm part of the problem. That's the place we have to get to in our heads. How do I show up as the version of myself in my most ideal relationship? What does that ideal relationship look like? How will I look in that scenario? And how will I be? How will I act? How will I speak? What is my energy when I'm in that relationship? And this is what you're going to need to be able to do that. Accountability. Sure, you can talk to a friend about being that for you. You can talk to a family member, or you can reach out to someone like me who is specifically there to challenge you and push you to be that version of yourself. In the over 15 years that I have been working with couples, the couples who put their ego and pride to the side, who look in the mirror and face the reality that they are 50% of the problem, they are the ones who actually make the fastest and best progress. The ones who lower their guard, who are willing to do the work, who can say, I do have bad habits. And you know what? This is not always a one gender-sided thing. It doesn't matter what gender you are. If you are stubborn and you also think the other person's the problem, and for years you feel like you've been fixing and taking care of everything and you're tired of it, you are still part of the problem. You are still part of the relationship. How you show up is going to create a dynamic in your relationship that is going to lead you to things you don't want to see happen until you start working on yourself. So that's the first thing. I want us to be more aware of the finger pointing we do and to start to take steps to being the version of ourselves we want in our ideal relationship. The second thing is that we are partnered with someone who will rub up against us like sandpaper in certain situations. It is a given. It will always be this way until you start to better understand why. Now, let me explain what I mean by sandpaper. Okay, so we all know sandpaper, you use it to smooth out wood and certain surfaces, but it is really gritty and uncomfortable. And if you've ever rubbed it up against your skin, it's really not a comfortable feeling, right? So we choose our partner unconsciously to be someone to help us work through our childhood issues. Now, you've heard me talk about this before, and it's so important to bring it up again. We don't actively go, I want to be with somebody who's got temper issues that don't show up until 3 to 5 years later in the relationship, or I want to be with somebody who has high anxiety and needs control over things that we don't see until they become a parent. Okay? We don't actively look for this. I can't tell you how many couples have been like, no, there's no way I would have searched for this. Yeah, you didn't, but subconsciously, it's comfortable. That personality trait is comfortable. And you are so good at finding people who are like that without even realizing it. So yes, you are going to search for someone like that and you're going to partner up with them. And even if they're not like that when you first met them, that's going to show up. Here's why. Because even if they're not an anxious person, something in your interaction with them will bring out the anxiety. I can't tell you how many clients I've worked with who've been like, I'm not usually like this. This isn't my normal, but somehow they bring this out in me. Yeah, because they're working through their stuff. And you are playing basically a part in the movie that helps the protagonist get to that next level of where they're supposed to be, right? The next chapter of their book. So we all come into our relationships with things that we need to work on. Being able to let go of control and trust. being better at communicating, speaking up for ourselves, holding better boundaries, whatever it might be. You know what your stuff is. If you're honest with yourself, you'll be able to pick it out pretty fast. But you partnered with your partner so that you could work on those things. I know, again, it's really annoying. Like, why can't we just pick the perfect partner and everything is easy and relaxed like it was in the honeymoon phase of our relationship? No, because we are here to grow, to be lifelong students, to learn, make mistakes, get back up, try again, even in our relationship. So it's important for you to really take a step back and go, what are the things that my partner says or does, or how they just enter a room, right? Sometimes that's all it is. That feels like sandpaper against me. That just feels so like, I can't stand when you do this. I can't stand when you respond this way. Sometimes I can't stand how you breathe or eat, whatever it might be, right? Find your things, your sandpaper moments, and make a list of them. And I want you to do an honest reflection. What of these are annoyances? Like big ones, like I just can't stand this. This bothers me. It just annoys me like you're like this. And what are the ones that are triggering something deep inside you? I don't feel like you care about me. I don't feel like you listen. I don't feel like I matter. I feel like I'm constantly failing in our relationship. I feel like I'm always being punished when I'm really trying. Look at that list and see, is there a deeper emotional connection to the action or behavior that your partner's doing? Or is it just an annoyance that has built up because your connection is no longer strong in your relationship? Have you ever found that with a friend? Like if you and your friend are super close, you're not bothered by some of their, annoying habits. But the moment you guys start to have some friction, some sandpaper moments, you're like, God, and I can't stand that she's like this, or I can't stand he does this, right? All of a sudden, those imperfections show up even more. They didn't bother you before when you felt connected and really enjoyed having your friend around. It's the same in our relationships with our romantic partner. We will start to see more of the imperfections rise to the surface and they will become greater annoyances. But they're only annoying and there because there's some deeper hurt going on. So that list is going to help you really discern what is the problem. And just a pro tip and kind of something funny on the side, probably the things that attracted you to your partner are the things that now annoy you. Like, oh, they were so free-spirited and flexible and, willing to do whatever and would like pick up and go. And now I hate that they never make a plan and they can't concretely decide on where we're going to eat, right? Yeah. Okay. Because you really loved that they were so like go with the flow and adaptable and basically allowed you to do whatever you wanted. And they said yes to everything. And now you wish they would stand up and tell you what they want. Okay. Well, that's their temperament and personality right there. And also maybe something they've got to work on. Who knows? They've got their own baggage too. So maybe that's what they're here to work on with you. How to start to step up with a stronger personality beside you. Okay, so to refocus us, the first one was stop pointing the finger. Start really looking in the mirror about who you are being in your relationship, what that ideal relationship would look like, and who you want to be in that ideal relationship. And then set your goals for your relationship, for you in your relationship, to start acting that way, to start taking steps towards it. It is not a 180 experience. I always tell my clients 2% every day, 2% growth. How can I be a better listener? How can I be more connected? How can I show greater respect, right? Like, how can I build trust a little more? 2% every day. The second is to recognize your partner is there for sandpaper moments. And these are great moments for you to recognize, what is it I'm here to work on? What is it I'm here to heal? How can I start to really address these things? Not expecting my partner to change because I'm sensitive to XYZ. A couple years ago, I was working with a couple, and one of them had a father who was just really punitive. The way she described it was just really aggressive, never physically aggressive, but just really angry, fast and reactive, and just always like, you're in trouble, go do this, really attacking on an emotional and mental level when punishing, okay? So when her partner would start to take any type of tone that seemed like it, she would get so reactive and so defensive. And she'd say to him, you know that tone bothers me. You do it on purpose. Like, you know better, right? And so I stopped her one day as they were having one of those interactions in my office. And I said, what if your husband's just responding in his normal way? And someone on the outside wouldn't see this as like an aggressive tone or punitive tone, more like a just logical, matter of fact. But because of the sandpaper moment, you are assuming that he is doing this on purpose. Instead of taking a step back and going, wow, I'm still sensitive to this tone. what healing work can I start doing within myself so that when my husband's just being matter of fact, not attacking, not mean, that I'm able to go, oh, this has nothing to do with hurting me. He's not my father. I'm not back at being 7 years old again and not having a say. And I'm allowed to say, hey, honey, the way you just said that feels like a sandpaper moment to me. And it's reminding me of how my dad would speak to me. And I know you don't mean that, right? I'm taking ownership. I'm claiming what it is. Do you mind saying it to me a little bit softer so my brain can just go like, we're good. Everything's good. He loves me. Or can you just come and hug me and tell me I'm not in trouble. You're not mad at me. And I know that sounds so silly, right? There's this like side of us that's like, no, my ego is in this. I don't want to tell my partner what to do. They should just know. Can we please stop having these Cinderella beliefs about how our partner should just know? Tell them what you need. In those sandpaper moments, claim it, state what it is, be aware of it, and share what you need so that your nervous system can regulate itself and you can go back into the conversation in a much more peaceful place. Though I usually have every episode have 3 things, you know what? I feel like these 2 are pretty big. I'm going to stop here. These are 2 really big challenges. For some couples, it takes 6 months to a year to really get to the place where they're like, oh, okay, I understand what I bring to the table. I can take ownership for it. I see my sandpaper moments. I know how to speak my needs. And for some, it only takes 3 to 4 months because all they needed was the accountability and the right tools. It just depends on how deeply ingrained these habits are, how willing you are to change them, and how much you're willing to let go of your pride and your ego with your partner. And again, if you're in a situation where your partner is not the type to want to work on the relationship because they haven't figured out, hey, if you're going to go to school to get a job and you're going to learn new skills to get promotions and raises, can we look at our relationship the same and we start to work on building emotional intelligence and greater skills so that we can have a better relationship that has even more ROI? If we want to talk business talk, right? It's worth doing the work. The key is finding how your partner is willing to do the work. I have yet to find someone who's like, I'm against therapy. I won't go to coaching. I won't do XYZ, who won't do some type of personal work in a different way. But it's the creative ways that we start to explore working on our relationship that can be key. So again, if you're in that situation and you're like, it's just going to be me, can this really change? Yeah, absolutely. I have over 15 years of experience helping people do that. Exactly. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you took some notes, did some self-reflection, maybe go look in the mirror after this episode and go, okay, let's have a real talk. And let me give you some homework then for this week, just like I always do. I told you I'm going off script, so the plan is not exactly here like it normally is. But first homework assignment is really reflect on what you would like your ideal relationship to look like. Don't let your brain get distracted by, but he will never, she will never. Let it go. Just what is your ideal relationship? What does it look like? Paint the picture. If you need to, write down what a day in that relationship would look like. Then, who are you in that relationship? Write that down. Don't just have the ideas in your mind. Write it down, pen to paper. Get really, really clear. Like you're describing a movie character or a character in a book. Really, who are you in that? And then set some goals around who you want to be this holiday season as that version of you. And then make a list of all the sandpaper moments, all the annoyances, all the things that are bothering you. Put a star next to the ones that are just annoying and circle the ones that have emotional connection to. Hey, I feel like I don't matter when you do these things. I feel like you're not listening to me. And I feel like I'm failing when you do these things instead of the stuff I've asked. Whatever it might be, right? Make that list. And then you're going to know what are the core things to start working on with your partner. But own your stuff. It's not for your partner to fix. It's not for them to necessarily change. It's for you to know how to speak what you need and stop thinking they should read your mind. Or just know. Because again, this is not a Cinderella fantasy we're living in. We're in a real relationship. And if you liked today's episode and hearing more about what I'm really seeing in relationships and the stuff that we've got to start changing or it's just going to compound, let me know. Message me on social media or through email at info@katiewrestler.com and let me know what in today's episode in specific really spoke to you. Okay, guys, that wraps it up. I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in to Relationship Reset. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend who might need it too. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast. It helps more couples discover these tools to rebuild their connection too. And be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. It's gonna be a good one. Your relationship is worth the work, and the rewards, totally worth the effort. See you next week.